Fred Vasseur has just dropped a bombshell that's so brutally honest, so shockingly candid, it has lifted the lid off the simmering anarchy at Ferrari this year. After Vasseur's whirlwind days of swirling speculation, mounting irritation, and strident silence, the team boss has finally spoken out, and what he said, especially regarding Lewis Hamilton and those infamous radio exchanges at the Canadian Grand Prix, has stunned the entire paddock. This isn't some toss-away PR quote. No, this is the final statement from the highest level that what we all heard on the team radios was real, was serious, and was much more damaging than Ferrari would ever care to admit. The team radio transmissions which were leaked had already set a firestorm in the paddock. Hamilton, bewildered and furious, inquiring about bogus car issues. Leclerc openly questioning strategy choices during the race, both drivers sounding completely disconnected from the pit wall. And now Vasseur has fallen into the spotlight and admitted the unspeakable. The Canadian Grand Prix, he testified, was a complete meltdown. From Leclerc's FP1 crash to a qualifying session gone horribly wrong to car damage and ill-advised strategy choices on race day, the entire weekend was a worst-case scenario of disaster. But here's what really unsettled everyone. Vasseur didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't spin the narrative. He didn't deflect blame. He owned it. He openly acknowledged the mistakes. He admitted the communication failures, and he called out the pressure cooker that's been boiling not just in the garage, but deep within Ferrari's very culture of race execution. His comments confirmed what fans and insiders have been whispering for weeks. The atmosphere inside Ferrari is tense, reactive, unstable. Vasseur even went as far as to declare the team is committing too many mistakes, that the drivers are too anxious, and that there is an urgent need for tranquility. But with now both Leclerc and Hamilton publicly expressing frustration, that tranquility seems farther away than ever. So what did Vasseur actually confess? How bad is the internal Ferrari crisis? What were the full tales behind those incriminating radio messages? And can this legendary team recover before the entire season slips away? Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with us until the end, because what you're about to uncover about Vasseur, Hamilton, and Ferrari's implosion in Canada could change everything. The chaos that exploded on race day, it didn't come out of nowhere. It had been quietly building all weekend. It began with a calamitous blow, Charles Leclerc's crash during free practice 1. That crash left Ferrari with only a single car taking data. An absolute strategic nightmare for a team that was trying to battle Red Bull and McLaren at the front, and things only got worse from there. On Saturday during the third quarter, Leclerc was blazing. He posted the fastest first sector of anyone, then just backed off. Why? Because he ran into traffic, and Ferrari had not warned him. A basic breakdown in communication at the most inopportune moment. That single mistake cost Leclerc a shot at pole, cost Ferrari track position, and set up a Sunday that would spiral totally out of control. Then the race came, and with it, an unraveling that would become epic in scope. Lewis Hamilton, who should have been leading the Ferrari charge, was instead hobbled from the very start. Mid-race, his engineer Riccardo Adami sent a chilling message over the radio. "We do see a loss of downforce in the car. Damage, perhaps. 20 points missing." Hamilton, already battling an unstable rear end, was clearly confused and frustrated. "Is that rear downforce?" he asked. "Because the rear is loose." Adami's response, "It's so well balanced." And that was only the beginning. That moment alone spoke volumes. Hamilton was describing a car that was borderline undrivable, rear instability, braking inconsistencies, power loss. And yet the pit wall was telling him everything looked fine. The disconnect was staggering. What followed was a sequence of radio messages that made global headlines. "Why is this car so slow?" Hamilton asked, exasperated. "Out of power, out of pace, boys." That wasn't just a complaint, it was the sound of a champion realizing that the car he was given wasn't fit to compete, and when the team told him he was 25 seconds behind, he snapped, "Where have I lost 25 seconds?" His tone was stunned, almost sarcastic. It wasn't about being overtaken or outdriven. It was about being completely left in the dark, and his message was clear: if Ferrari had a plan, they hadn't shared it with him. Meanwhile, was locked in a strategic farce of his own. When told Midra to switch to Plan B, he responded bluntly, "I think Plan C," short tense, suggestive of a driver who no longer trusted what was coming from the pit wall. Then came the flashpoint. Ferrari called him into the pits, and Leclerc exploded. "Why have we boxed? Why did we box?" He demanded the answer. "We're on plan." Leclerc's reply was cutting. "Yeah, but I was just telling you. Tires were fine." That one line said it all, that Pitwall had ignored their driver again. Leclerc was managing the tires. Well, had made it clear he wanted to extend his stint, and yet the team had overridden him without listening. It wasn't just a tactical misstep, it was a breach of trust. And this is where Fred versus post-race revelations hit like a thunderclap. Speaking to Sky Sports F1, Vasseur didn't deflect, he didn't sugarcoat the disaster. He acknowledged that the weekend was riddled with problems too many to count. One car running an FP1 miscommunication, in qualifying a strategy on Sunday that simply didn't work. It's too much for a single weekend. He admitted coming from a team principal, that's an extraordinary confession. But what he said next was even more shocking when asked about the pit stop strategy. Vasseur said, "Maybe a one-stop strategy could have worked, but we didn't know the possible lifespan of the medium tires. Let that sink in." Ferrari, one of the biggest, best-funded teams in Formula One, entered a Grand Prix without knowing how long their tires could last. They were guessing in the middle of a race with a 7-time world champion and a generational talent in their cars. That's not just an operational failure, it's negligence. Vasseur tried to downplay the damage, insisting that updates are coming soon, and that the team needs to focus on themselves rather than panic. But his own words betrayed the deeper truth: we didn't do a clean job this weekend, he said, and for Hamilton and Leclerc, that statement was just confirmation of what they'd been screaming into the radio. Leclerc and Hamilton weren't throwing tantrums. They were delivering clinical, calculated critiques of a team that simply wasn't performing. And now that Vasseur has backed them up publicly, it's clear that these weren't just emotional outbursts. They were symptoms of a deeper issue. Ferrari's problems are no longer hidden. The radio messages exposed, the chaos in real time. Vasseur's interview confirmed that the team is aware and overwhelmed, and now the spotlight is blinding. The next Grand Prix won't just be about fighting Red Bull and McLaren. It'll be about proving that Ferrari can hold itself together under pressure, because if they can't, this dream partnership lurk, and Hamilton could turn into one of the biggest missed opportunities in F1 history. So don't even think about looking away, because what's coming next could redefine everything we thought we knew about this Ferrari project. The Canadian Grand Prix wasn't just a bad day at the office, it was a mirror held up to the very structure of the team. The radio chaos, the baffling decisions, the complete lack of clarity. All of it has revealed cracks that go far beyond the drivers. What we're witnessing may well be the beginning of a crisis, not just in results, but in identity. What does Ferrari stand for right now? Precision, excellence, strategy, or confusion, missed opportunities, an internal disconnect. And here's the frightening part: the storm isn't over, it's only just begun. The pressure on Vasseur is now unlike anything he's faced since stepping into the role. The pressure on Leclerc is building as he watches his career drift further from the title he's dreamed of since childhood. And for Hamilton, who made the boldest move of his career by joining Ferrari, the weight of expectation, frustration, and doubt is becoming heavier with every passing lap. With the next race fast approaching, every decision Ferrari makes from this point forward will be under a microscope. Fans, media, rival teams, everyone is watching. One wrong call, one more weekend like Montreal, and the backlash won't just be loud, it'll be deafening. There's no more room for Plan B confusion, no more shrugging off errors as if they're growing pains. Ferrari has two of the most talented drivers on the grid, and if they can't provide them with a car that works, a strategy that makes sense, and a team that listens, the consequences will be severe, because the reality is, this teams can recover from bad results, They can bounce back from technical setbacks, but once you lose the trust of your drivers, once they stop believing that the team knows what it's doing, that's when the real collapse begins. And based on what we've just heard over the radio, and what Vasseur has now admitted in front of the world, that trust is hanging by a thread. So the real question isn't whether Ferrari can be fast, it's whether they can be smart, whether they can rebuild unity, whether they can silence the chaos, block out the noise, and deliver the performance and precision that their history demands. Because if they can't, this won't be a championship challenge. It'll be a slow public breakdown of one of Formula One's most anticipated projects. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update. Because the next chapter in this story won't just shape Ferrari's future.